You know, we see arrest warrants all the time in movies, right? It's that dramatic piece of paper that totally changes the story. But here's the thing. It's not just a prop. It's an incredibly powerful legal tool with a whole life of its own. And in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow that life, right from the moment a judge signs it to the second it's in an officer's hand.
So what is it? What actually gives a simple piece of paper the power to literally take away someone's freedom? It's definitely not magic. It's a really carefully designed legal process. And once you understand it, you start to see this delicate balance between the power of the state and the rights of an individual. All right, so here's the journey we're about to take. We'll kick things off with what a warrant even is. Then we'll look at its blueprint. After that, we'll see who actually gets to carry it out and the super strict rules for making an arrest. We'll even see what happens when a warrant has to travel across the country, and then we'll tie it all together to see why all these steps matter so much.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the legal foundation. Before a warrant can do anything, before it has any power at all, it has to, for lack of a better word, born in a very, very specific way, following some really strict rules.
So what is it really? Well, at its core, a warrant of arrest is a formal written order that comes directly from a court. And that word formal is everything. It has to be signed by a presiding officer, like a judge or a magistrate, and it has to have the court's official seal on it. This isn't just some memo from a police chief. It is a direct command from the judicial system itself.
Now, let's get into its formal blueprint. A warrant's power doesn't just come from the words written on it. It comes from its actual structure. There are these three non-negotiable pillars that give it all of its legal weight.
Here they are, the three pillars of power. First, it absolutely must be in writing. No verbal warrants allowed. Second, it's got to have that signature from the court's top official. And third, it needs that official court seal. Without all three, it's basically just a piece of paper. And get this, a warrant doesn't just expire. It stays active until it's either canceled by the court or the arrest is made.
Okay, so we've got a legit warrant. Now, who actually gets to go out and execute it? Well, the law is super specific about who can act as an agent of the court in this situation.
Most of the time, it's exactly who you think it is, police officers. That's the standard way it's done. But check this out. There's a really interesting exception. If a warrant needs to be served, like right now, and there aren't any police around, the court can actually authorize any other person to do it. It just goes to show you the law has a practical side. Justice can't just stop because an officer isn't immediately available.
And there's even flexibility within the police force. An officer who has a warrant can just endorse it, which is basically like signing it over to another officer. It's a simple, practical way to make sure the job gets done as efficiently as possible.
And now we've arrived at the most critical moment in a warrant's entire life, the arrest itself. This isn't what you see in the movies, with doors getting kicked in and no one saying a word. No, there are very strict rules that control this whole encounter, and they're there to protect everybody involved.
The whole process is really designed to be clear and transparent. So, step 1, the officer has to tell the person the substance of the warrant. They have to explain why they're being arrested. Step 2, if you ask to see the warrant, they are legally required to show it to you. And step 3, this is a big one, you have to be brought before a court without any unnecessary delay.
And that phrase, unnecessary delay, it isn't just some vague suggestion. The law puts a hard number on it, 24 hours. This is a massive safeguard. Not counting travel time, the authorities have a one-day clock to get an arrested person in front of a magistrate. This is what prevents someone from being locked away indefinitely without any kind of judicial check.
But hey, an arrest doesn't always mean you're going straight to a cell. Sometimes the warrant itself comes with an off-ramp, so to speak. A court can pre-authorize release by putting a note, an endorsement, right on the warrant. This means if the person can post a bond or some other financial guarantee that they'll show up to court, the officer just takes that security and releases them right then and there. The warrant itself gives them the instructions. Okay, so what happens if the person named in a warrant isn't in the same city or even the same state as the court that issued it? This is where the system has procedures to make sure everything works on a national scale.
This is the key thing to remember. A warrant of arrest can be executed anywhere in India. It's got nationwide authority. But to make that power actually work across all the different police jurisdictions, there are some specific protocols that have to be followed.
So how does that actually work?
Well, there are basically two main ways. The court that issues the warrant can just mail it directly to the cops in the right area, or an officer can physically carry the warrant to that new jurisdiction and get it endorsed by a local authority there. You can almost think of that endorsement as a kind of visa stamp. It's what makes the warrant official in that new territory.
Whew, we've gone through a lot of steps and rules here. So let's zoom out for a second and ask the most important question of all. Why does all of this bureaucracy, even matter? Well, it all comes back to that fundamental balance between power and rights.
This right here is the why. Every single rule we've talked about is there for a reason. Together, they stop random arbitrary arrests, because every single step has to be authorized and written down. They create a clear paper trail so there's never any question about who's responsible. They uphold the rule of law itself, making it crystal clear that nobody's authority is absolute. But maybe most importantly, they protect our individual rights. The right to know why you're being arrested and the right to see a judge quickly.
You know, this entire system was designed in an age of paper, of ink, of mail. And yet, it's held up. But that leaves us with a pretty big question for the world we live in today. In our age of instant digital information and constant communication, do these very formal, very paper-based procedures still strike the right balance between efficiency and justice? It's definitely something to think about.